back again, and I'm still talking about articles. But before I do, I want to read something, because I use sometimes grammatical terms that you might not be familiar with. So, I'm reading from the Synonym Finder by John Rodell, and it's one of my favorite books. You can see how messed up it is, right? I have about 4 or 5 copies, and I go through them quite often. Okay, so I want to read the word generic, because when I'm talking about a generic noun versus a partitive noun, if you don't know what I mean, then everything I'm saying gets lost. So I want you to understand what the word generic means when you're talking about a generic noun or generic anything. When you go to the pharmacy and you buy generic drugs versus drugs that have names on, brand names. So generic means common, general, collective, all-encompassing, comprehensive, like a comprehensive exam, an exam that does just not cover what you've been talking about for the last 2 weeks, but covers the whole semester. Sweeping, extensive, non-exclusive, unlabeled, unregistered. Okay, so when I'm talking about a generic noun, I'm talking about that noun representing that, like for example, blue. I'm talking about blue in general, not any particular kind of blue. Or when I'm talking about man or woman, those are generic. Partitive means a part of that, right? So when I'm talking about I want sugar, I don't want all the sugar in the world. What I really mean in English is I want some sugar. But sometimes, just like in any language, you don't necessarily say what you mean, but everybody knows what you mean. So I'm going to put this back, and we're going to continue looking at the meaning, when to use an article and when not to use an article in Spanish. So I hope you can see this board, but I'll read it just in case. Mass uncountable nouns, if unqualified, or mass uncountable noun, if unqualified, does not require an article. If it is qualified or modified, it does. So if you're just talking about water in general, right? What you really mean is some water, but you don't say it, but that's what you really mean, right? Because you don't want all the water in the world. So in Spanish, if you want to say, I want water, right? Or you don't have to say, I want some water. I want water. You can say, quiero agua. You don't say quiero el agua. You say quiero agua, quiero azul. Azúcar. Quiero pan. Right? So you're just talking about a part of that great mass of water or a great mass. And these are uncountable because you don't count water, you don't count sugar, you don't count bread. Now you count loaves of bread, but bread in general you don't. Or you don't count money, you count coins. Okay, now if it's qualified, that is you're talking about water, a certain type of water, then you do use the article. Example, first you say quiero agua, just agua. But if you say quiero el agua que viene de los Estados Unidos, that's a different thing. Then agua is qualified or modified because you're talking about a particular kind of water, then you use the article. So if you're talking about a mass uncountable noun that's not qualified, quiero agua, quiero azúcar, quiero pan, quiero mantequilla, okay, then you just use you don't use the article. This is my mind. You don't use the article. But if you're talking about a particular kind of water, a particular kind of sugar, a particular kind of mass countable noun, uncountable noun, then you do. Quiero el agua que viene de España, de Nicaragua, de Guatemala, de Haiti. Okay. Nouns following preposition refer to only an aspect, that is a part of the whole. So it's not generic, because it's really partitive. You're only talking about a part of the whole. If the noun comes after a preposition, you're only talking about a part of the whole. Therefore, it is not generic. So we're not talking about the whole thing, we're talking about a part of it. Now, we're only talking about nouns that come after prepositions. No article required. So, me gusta jugar con agua. Right? No me gusta jugar con el agua. It's me gusta jugar con agua. Or, no cuento con electricidad. Right? Now, not all the electricity of the world, but with the electricity that you have bought or required for your home. So, no cuento con electricidad. Con, which is the preposition, and afterward, agua, which is the noun, no preposition. Con, once again, which is the preposition, afterwards the noun electricidad. Because it comes after the preposition, the idea is partitive. You're only talking about a part of that. So you're not talking about the whole thing. So therefore, no preposition. All right. Now, important, because these are, I call this getting into the weeds. You're getting into the weeds of the language. Now, I'm going to be frank with you. If you go to istudyguides.com and you get the cards, you're going to see there's a whole bunch that I'm not talking about, because it would be almost impossible to explain all the little details. So what I'm talking about are in general, when to use and when not to use the articles. Okay, so here we go. After verbs of consuming, producing, or desiring, the nouns are considered partitive. That is, they're only considered a part of the whole. They are not considered generic. And because they are not considered generic, you do not use an article, right? So, I'll say it again. After verbs of consuming, producing, or desiring, the nouns are considered partitive rather than generic. Now, generic nouns must be or must have an article. If you're talking about blue is a beautiful color, you don't, in English you just say blue is a beautiful color. Blue being a generic, right? In Spanish you have to say el azul es un color bonito or hermoso, right? Because there you must use the article because blue is a generic noun, right? So I'll say it again. After verbs of consuming, producing, or desiring, the nouns are considered partitive rather than generic. Generic nouns require an article. Partitive ones do not. So here we go. Here we're talking about consuming, the verb tomar, tomar in the sense of drink. Tomo agua, no tomo el agua. Quiero agua, this is desiring, right? You don't say quiero el agua, quiero agua. La compañía hace electricidad. Hacer is to produce, right? Hace electricidad, therefore no article. One more point. Like I said, we're getting into the weeds here, right? Getting into the weeds of Spanish, which I think is very important, and it's nuanced, but it's important. After verbs of human emotion, for example, to love, to hate, to admire, to criticize, to reject, to censor, and I have this in large letter. I hope you can see this, but just in case you can, the definite article is required. So after human emotion, verbs of to hate, to love, to admire, criticize, reject, censor, odio el aguacate. No odio aguacate, odio el aguacate. Tengo que luchar el racismo. El racismo. Me encanta el helado. Human emotion. Me encanta el helado. I thought I had one more there. I guess I don't. All right. So, really quickly, we're talking about mass countable nouns. If they're unqualified, no article. If they're qualified, article. We're talking about nouns after prepositions. No article. Me gusta jugar con el agua. When we're talking about verbs of consuming, producing, or desiring, right? Then no article. Tomo Agua, quiero, agua, la compañía, I say electricidad. Adverbs of human emotion. To love, to hate, to admire, to criticize, to reject, to censor. The definite article is required. Odio el aguacate, tengo que luchar el racismo, me encanta el helado. Okay, so, not the easiest, not the most, but not the most complex. You'd be amazed all the rules that we have. Okay, so, that's it. I think we might have one more video on, what do you call it, on articles. Maybe. I'll see. I'll see. So, Corrala Ficklin, don't forget you can Twitter me, and you can go to YouTube, and you can also go to istudyguides.com. Thank you.